Hey guys, Julius here. And let's be real for a second. There's nothing more frustrating than getting into the bedroom, things are heating up, and you enter her, and 30 seconds later, you're already fighting the urge to finish. It sucks. And if you're like most guys that I talk to, you probably think that the problem is just that you're too sensitive or you think that your hardware is broken. But I'm here to tell you that is actually not the problem. The problem isn't sensitivity. The problem is tension. You are walking around with a pelvic floor that is chronically tight. And when those muscles are tight, they act like a hair trigger on a gun. And the slightest stimulation sets them off and it's game over. In this video, I'm going to teach you a technique called the Reverse Kegel. It is a physical maneuver that manually unclenches that trigger and buys you significantly more time. But there is a catch. If you've watched my channel before, you know that I talk about strengthening your PC muscle. And here's why that matters. You cannot relax a muscle that is weak. And many guys with premature ejaculation have a weak PC muscle due to quick release masturbation. How you've conditioned these muscles to act through repetition. A weak muscle spasms when it gets under pressure. So while this technique is going to be your emergency brake for tonight, you need to understand the root cause to fix this permanently. So stick with me. We're going to cover the technique first so that you can stop that spasm in the moment, but do not skip the end because I'm going to show you exactly why that tension is there in the first place and how to fix your energy to stop it for good. So let's get into it. So first, you need to know what you're actually controlling down there. We're talking about the PC muscle or the pubococcygeus muscle. You've probably heard of Kegels before. That is where you squeeze this muscle to stop the flow of urine. Most guys think that to last longer, they need to squeeze this muscle tighter, but that is actually the opposite of what you want to do when you're close to the edge. Here is the mechanics of ejaculation. When your arousal hits a certain level, let's call it like a 9 out of 10, your pelvic floor has an involuntary reflex. It spasms, it clenches up tight. That clench is the trigger that tells your brain, okay, it's time to ejaculate. So if you're walking around with a tight pelvic floor, or if you are squeezing it out of habit because you're anxious, you're literally holding your finger on the trigger the entire time. You're halfway to finishing before you even start. To stop this, we need to do the opposite. We need to perform a reverse Kegel. This is exactly how you do it. Imagine you're at the urinal and you're trying to force the stream of urine out faster. Or to be blunt, imagine you're trying to gently push out a fart. You aren't squeezing in, you're pushing out and down. Try it now while you're just sitting there. Take a breath and gently push down on your perineum, that spot between your scrotum and your anus. You should feel a sense of opening or expansion in your pelvic floor. It feels like the tension is kind of melting away. When you do this during sex, you are manually overriding that involuntary spasm. You're telling your body, we're not finished yet. But remembering to do this when you're in the heat of the moment is kind of hard. And there's a deeper reason why your body keeps trying to clench up on you, even when you don't want it to. And that reason has nothing to do with your muscles and everything to do with your head. So you have the technique, you know how to unclench, but here's the reality check. You can do reverse Kegels all day long, but if you don't fix the root cause, you're just going to tense up again the second that you get turned on. Why is your pelvic floor tight in the first place? Why is it spasming before you even want it to? Because you're carrying anxiety in your body. Your pelvic floor is directly connected to your nervous system. It is where men hold a lot of their stress. When you're in the bedroom, if you're worried about pleasing her, if you're worried about finishing too fast, or if you're in your head trying to perform, your body interprets that as stress, and it shifts into fight or flight state. And what is the body's natural reaction to danger? It clenches, it braces for impact. That physical clench is what pushes you over the edge. So you're trying to use a physical trick to solve an energetic problem. You're trying to technique your way out of anxiety. But to actually fix this, to stop being a hair trigger and start being a rock, you have to stop acting like a technician and start acting like an elevated lover. Let me explain what that means. You're trying to technique your way out of anxiety. You're hoping that if you just move your muscles differently, the problem will just go away. But the muscles are just the symptom. The problem is that you are not embodied. You need to bring a different energy into the bedroom. You need to bring the energy of discipline and stillness. Now, when I say discipline, I don't mean the discipline of squeezing harder or trying harder. I mean the discipline to drop out of your head where all the worry and performance anxiety lives and anchor yourself deep in your body. You need to become the eye of the storm. The fastest way to do this is through your breath. Remember the reverse Kegel? It naturally happens when you inhale deep into your belly. You cannot have a tight pelvic floor if you're breathing deep into your balls. It is physically impossible. When you regulate your breath, you regulate your nervous system. You switch from fight or flight, which tells your body to hurry up and finish, to rest and digest. When your nervous system is calm, your penis is calm. You stop being a hair trigger that goes off at the slightest touch, and you start being a rock. So instead of worrying about the technique, focus on the energy. Bring the stillness. Bring the discipline to breathe. And watch how your body follows. So how do you actually do this when you're with her? You need to catch the tension before it's too late. We call this the yellow zone. If you wait until you're at like a 9.9 out of 10, which is the red zone, that's game over. The reflex is already firing. You need to catch it when you're like at about a 7. So here's the protocol. Step 1, notice the tension. You're thrusting, things are feeling good, and suddenly you feel that little tightening in your pelvic floor. That is your signal. Step 2, drop the story. Your brain is going to say, oh no, I'm going to come. Ignore that thought. It's just noise. Learn to change the meaning and see the intensity as fuel. Imagine that energy moving up your spine, empowering you rather than overwhelming you. Step 3, the anchor breath. Take a deep, slow inhale through your nose, filling your belly all the way up. Breathe deep into your diaphragm, not just your chest. Step 4, the release. As you exhale, perform the reverse Kegel. Gently push out and down on your pelvic floor. Imagine you're expanding that space between your legs. Now, step 5, feel the drop. When you do this correctly, you will feel the urgency melt away rather quickly. The sensation drops from like a 9 back to like a 5 or a 6. Now, you've just bought yourself more time, and you can do this as many times as you need to, but remember that this takes practice. You have to train your body to push out when it wants to squeeze in. That's why I tell guys when it comes to lasting longer, it's all about retraining your autopilot responses to react in the way that you want them to. That means practicing this every single time that you masturbate because you're collapsing the conditioning that you've created in the body and mind from fast release masturbation and replacing it with slow, controlled action. You can practice with your woman or alone, but you need to do this until it becomes your new habit, your new autopilot response. And once you master this, you don't have to think about it ever again. The reverse Kegel is a powerful tool to use in the moment. It is your emergency brake. But if you want to stop needing the emergency brake every single time, you need to learn how to drive the car better. A super powerful tool for doing that is threshold control. This is the art of bringing your arousal right up to the edge, that 9 out of 10, and then knowing exactly how to dial it back down without losing your erection or killing the mood. And I have a free training video on my blog called Threshold Control that breaks this down visually. It has charts that show you exactly when to pull back and specific techniques on what to do while your body cools down so that you can stay in the game. And this is a perfect extension to what we just talked about. You can get it over at jasonjulius.com. I put a link in the description below. Go click that, watch the training, let me know what you think. And if you like this video, be sure to hit that thumbs up button because it really helps out the channel. Make sure that you hit subscribe because I have a lot more cool content coming up. Leave a comment below. Let me know any questions that you have, and I'll see you in the next video.